Today we're jumping into a really old argument from the Quran for a single creator. And what's so cool about it is that its evidence isn't some complex, abstract philosophy. Nope. It's the world all around us, from a tiny seed all the way out to the vastness of space. So, right off the bat, the text asks this huge question. Is the universe speaking to us? It argues that, yeah, it totally is. Not with words, but through what it calls signs. It's like nature is this giant book, just waiting for us to read it, if we're paying attention. All right, so let's get into it. The text invites us to try and decode these signs in nature, but using three really distinct yet complementary lenses. Now, it's not saying you have to pick just one. It's more like you can look at the same thing, say a seed sprouting, and see it as a scientific process, a deep philosophical mystery, and a sign from a creator all at the same time. They're not competing ideas. They're layers of understanding. So how does the argument actually unfold? Well, the passage takes us on this amazing journey, kind of like a cosmic zoom, starting with something super small and familiar before pulling the camera way, way back. The first piece of evidence is the humble seed. I mean, think about it. You've got this little kernel. It seems totally inert, right? Dead, you could say. And then it just splits open and this living green shoot bursts forth. It's this incredible cycle we see all the time, but maybe we don't always stop to appreciate it. And right there, that's the core philosophical question, isn't it? How does life just come from non-life? This constant cycle is presented as more than just a random accident. It's shown as a deliberate pattern, a sign that points to some kind of purposeful cause behind the whole mystery of life. Okay, so from that tiny seed, the argument just pulls the camera way, way back, all the way out to the cosmos. And what we see out there is presented as this incredible, finely tuned clock. Dawn literally cleaves the darkness, right? That's our signal for activity. The night is there for stillness and rest. And you've got the sun and moon giving us this super precise way to calculate or reckon time. The point here is this isn't chaos. It's an ordered system. And it seems to be designed perfectly for us. Then we look up at the stars. And they're not just pretty lights, are they? For thousands of years, long before any modern tech, they were basically humanity's GPS. The text points to this incredibly practical use as another sign of intentional design, a reliable guide placed right there in the sky to help us find our way. And this line really nails it. The idea is that just as there are physical guides to help us navigate the earth, this points to a source of spiritual guidance for our journey through life itself. So after this grand tour of the cosmos, the camera zooms right back down and focuses on us. The text makes this profound claim about the unity of all people, saying we all come from a single being, and it frames our whole lives as a journey through these temporary stages, from the womb all the way to the grave. Okay, so we've seen all this evidence, from a seed to the stars, to ourselves. Now, the text does something really interesting. It pivots. It starts to use all these observations to build a logical, theological case for its main point. And that main point, that central claim, is all captured in this one powerful word, Tawheed. This is the absolute core belief in God's oneness. You have to remember, in a world full of polytheism, this was a game-changing concept, that if one being is behind all these interconnected signs, then that being has to be unique, with no partners, no equals, the whole shebang. So how does it challenge those polytheistic ideas? Well, it poses this really sharp, logical question about unseen beings, like the jinn, spirits or genies. It basically asks, if even they are created beings, then how on earth could they possibly be partners with the one who created them in the first place? And it uses that same kind of real-world logic when it talks about the idea of divine children. The argument is super simple, grounded in something we all understand. It points out that, procreation requires a partner, a consort. It uses this basic biological fact to question the logic of a transcendent creator having literal kids. And all of this really hammers home a fundamental distinction. On one side, you have the creator, the originator, self-sufficient, beyond our world. On the other side, you have, everything else, the creation, which is, by its very nature, dependent. The argument is that these two categories are completely, fundamentally different. So where does this all lead? What's the final point? Is this: if you follow the logic, if you accept the premise that one single being is the originator of everything we've talked about, from seeds and stars to our very own existence, then the text argues there's only one logical conclusion. That being alone is worthy of worship. But okay, the argument is laid out, but it doesn't just end there. It's not just an intellectual exercise. It actually demands a response. And this final part is all about the choice that each of us has to make. And it leaves us with this really interesting paradox to think about. On the one hand, the Creator's essence is described as being totally beyond our physical sight. Vision comprehendeth him not. But on the other hand, the evidence for that Creator, all those signs in the world, well, that's presented as being totally clear, totally visible, right in front of our eyes. And this is where it all comes back to us, to our personal responsibility. The passage is basically saying, look, the clear proofs, the evidence, it's all been delivered. Whoever chooses to see it and accept it, they're doing it for their own good. And whoever chooses to be blind to it all, well, they're only harming themselves. The messenger's job isn't to force belief, just to deliver the message. The choice is ours. So we're left with this powerful final thought. If, as this ancient argument suggests, nature really is a book filled with signs pointing to a deeper reality, what does it truly mean for each of us to